Welcome back, everyone. We're diving deep today into how retail in India is changing.
Yeah.
We've got this really cool report
Yeah.
from PwC India
It's a good one.
called The Retail Reinvention Paradigm. And they've got insights from like over 1,800 retailers and consumers.
Yeah. It's not just like what's changing,
Yeah.
but why it matters. I think this deep dive will hopefully help you see all the different opportunities that are out there with this kind of evolving retail landscape.
So let's unpack it. One of the big things that jumped out at me was the whole omni-channel thing,
Yeah.
which is basically, how brands are trying to like blend that online and offline experience.
Yeah.
Like,
Hybrid.
imagine like browsing clothes online, but reserving them and then going in to try them on before you actually commit to buying.
Yeah. And the report actually like backs up this trend.
Oh, wow.
Over half of the consumers that they surveyed wanted that kind of approach, both online and offline.
Yeah, and that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But then there's also this like those moments where you're like, oh, I need this right now.
Yes. Q-commerce.
Yeah, Q-commerce.
Yeah.
Quick commerce, right? So we're talking super fast delivery, like within minutes.
Yeah. And the report talked about how that's booming in like the metro cities, but it's kind of struggling in like tier 2 and tier 3 cities.
Oh, that's interesting. I would think like everybody wants something super fast.
You would think so.
So why is that?
It's more like logistical hurdles.
Okay.
In those less dense areas, you've got higher delivery costs, demand is spread out, and then there's this whole like challenge of predicting what people are going to want immediately, instantly.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So with like online shopping on the rise
Mm.
and now Q-commerce,
And quick commerce.
how are those traditional retailers adapting? I'm thinking about the impact on those, like brick-and-mortar stores.
Yeah, that's what's really interesting about this report. Only 34% of the traditional retailers that they surveyed actually reported a negative impact from online shopping,
Oh, yeah.
even though 60% saw it as like a threat.
So it's like more of a perceived threat than an actual one.
Right. Like it's really important to look at data, not just like perception, gut feeling.
Yeah.
What's really fascinating, though, is that 29% of traditional retailers actually see online shopping as an opportunity.
That's super interesting.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how are they using it, like, to their advantage?
So many ways. A lot of them offer free delivery, staying open later to kind of match that convenience of online. Some are using social media to connect with customers, showcasing those unique local products.
Yeah.
Think about those Kirana stores. They already have those deep community ties. They understand those local needs.
Yeah.
And then a lot of them already have these existing delivery networks set up.
The report also mentions some retailers are even considering opening dark stores
Dark stores.
to compete with online retailers.
Which is basically a mini warehouse just dedicated to fulfilling those online orders super quick.
Wow.
It's a great example of how those traditional retailers are actually experimenting with all these new models.
That's super bold.
Yeah.
They're not just sitting back and kind of, waiting for things to happen.
Right.
The report did also mention that a lot of traditional retailers feel like technology could really help them compete.
A lot. Like 60% believe that if they had better access to technology, that they could really compete.
What kind of technology are we talking here?
Everything from like chatbots, like automated customer service, to those advanced point of sale systems, even inventory management software.
Correct.
These tools can help them streamline operations, make everything smoother for the customer, like we were talking about before with omnichannel.
It's all about connecting those dots, right?
Exactly.
Using technology to make it smooth for the customer,
Yes.
whether they're shopping online or in the store.
Imagine a customer, they're using the store's app just to check if a product's available before they even head to the store.
Oh, that's great.
That kind of integration, it really sets retailers apart.
So speaking of tech, we've got to talk about ONDC, the Open Network for Digital Commerce. It's like a government thing, right?
Yeah.
To help the small businesses really thrive online.
In theory, but the report found that only 4% of traditional retailers even knew about ONDC.
Wow.
And only 1% were using it.
That's a huge missed opportunity.
It really is.
Why do you think the awareness is so low?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
It has so much potential.
Yeah.
But it seems like there's this gap in awareness and even just understanding of what it is.
We need a whole other deep dive into ONDC.
Maybe we do.
But for now, let's shift gears and talk about those customers.
Okay.
The report pointed out that those customers are looking for engaging and immersive experiences. Like it's not just about the product anymore.
Yeah, it's about going beyond just like offering the goods and services. They
Right.
need to connect with the customers on a whole other level.
Give us some examples. How are these retailers creating those?
Generative customer experiences.
Yeah, that's what they called them, right?
Like, instead of just selling makeup,
Right.
a beauty brand might create this interactive experience where the customers can actually learn different makeup techniques,
Oh, cool.
experiment with new looks,
Oh, that's so cool.
and they even get advice from a makeup artist.
It's like personalized.
Yeah,
That's a great example. It's like taking that shopping experience and making it something that you remember.
exactly.
And I feel like traditional retailers have a leg up there.
They do.
They can actually use their physical space to create those really immersive experiences.
Absolutely, like hosting events,
Yeah.
workshops.
It's making those physical stores a destination.
It is.
But let's be real. Price is still a big factor for a lot of people.
It is.
How do those traditional retailers compete with the online deals?
The report had a good point about this. Focus on outserving, not outpricing.
Okay.
It's about offering something more valuable to the customer,
Oh, that makes sense.
even if the price is a little higher.
So it's not just about matching the lowest price.
Right.
It's about offering something that makes that higher price worth it.
It is.
Okay.
Things like convenience, personalization, and exceptional service. Think about those flexible return policies, those knowledgeable staff who can give expert advice.
Oh, yeah. That human touch.
Right. And then those loyalty programs making people feel valued.
It's like building that relationship.
That is.
So we've covered a lot in this first part of our deep dive. We talked about omnichannel retail, the challenges and opportunities of Q-commerce, and how those traditional retailers are adapting.
And we haven't even gotten to the best part.
That's right. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll keep unpacking all these insights from this report and really explore what the future of retail in India looks like.
Can't wait.
Me neither.
It's going to be good.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Welcome back to our deep dive into how retail in India is being reinvented. Before the break, we were talking about how traditional retailers can outserve their competition online.
Yeah, by focusing on things like really great customer service, making things really convenient.
And one thing that stood out in the report was that a lot of the big trends start online, which makes sense when you think about it.
It does.
Like social media, influencers, all those viral products, they all kind of start online and then they move into the real world.
Yeah, exactly. So retailers, whether they're online or offline, they've got to be really quick.
Right.
They have to keep an eye on what's happening online and then figure out, okay, how do we adapt to this?
So instead of like brands saying, this is what's cool,
Yeah.
it's more like they're responding to what's already happening online.
Yeah, totally. It's like a whole new way of thinking about things.
Yeah.
Retailers need to like identify a trend early on, see if it's going to, stick around, and then translate that buzz into something real, whether it's a new product or a marketing campaign or even just like a new way to make the in-store experience fresh.
So how do traditional retailers, those brick-and-mortar stores, keep up with all of that? It seems like online retailers would have an advantage because they're already online.
That's true, but traditional retailers have their own strengths,
Yeah.
They can use their physical space to create experiences you just can't get online.
Okay, I'm listening.
So, like, imagine a retailer sees a certain style of clothing blowing up online.
Okay.
They could set up a pop-up shop just for that trend,
Oh, cool.
or partner with a local influencer to do a styling event, or even just make sure those trendy items are front and center in their store.
That's a really smart way to bring those online trends to life.
Exactly. It makes it more engaging, more interactive.
Yeah, and the report really emphasized the importance of technology for traditional retailers.
Yeah.
Not just for keeping up with trends, but for making the whole customer experience better.
Absolutely. These days, people expect things like a smooth checkout,
Right.
personalized recommendations, and they want to be able to connect with brands on different channels.
It's not just about having a website or being on social media.
No, not anymore.
It's about using tech to make every interaction, whether you're online or in the store, as easy and fun as possible.
Think about it. You walk into a store, and a chatbot greets you.
Yeah.
It can answer questions, help you find something, or even suggest things based on what you've bought before.
That would be amazing.
Right. It takes the pressure off of finding a salesperson.
Yeah.
And it feels more personalized.
The report also talked about generative customer experiences. What exactly does that mean?
It's about going beyond just meeting a customer's needs.
Okay.
It's about inspiring them, giving them something they didn't even know they wanted.
That sounds ambitious. How do retailers actually pull that off?
It starts with understanding your customer really well.
Okay.
What are their values? What do they want out of life? What are they afraid of? And then retailers can use that information to create experiences that really connect with people on a deeper level.
I need an example. I'm having trouble picturing this.
Okay, so let's say you're a sporting goods store.
Okay.
Instead of just selling equipment, you create a space where people can try out the products, get coaching tips, even connect with other people who love the same sport.
So you're not just selling them a product.
Right.
You're giving them a whole experience.
Exactly. Those experiences are what create lasting memories and make people loyal.
It's about creating a customer, not just making a sale.
Exactly.
That's a great way to put it.
Right.
And it seems like those generative experiences don't have to be these big, elaborate things.
No, sometimes the small things make a big difference.
Yeah.
Like a small boutique that offers free alterations.
Oh, that's nice.
Or a bookstore that hosts readings with authors.
Yeah.
Little things like that make people feel cared for and like they're part of a community.
Okay, so we've talked about online trends, technology, and these generative experiences. Anything else retailers should be thinking about?
Well, remember that idea of outserving instead of outpricing?
Oh, yeah.
We talked about it earlier.
Right.
But it's really important, especially because online prices can be so low.
So remind us, how can traditional retailers outserve their competition when it comes to things other than price?
The report talked about three main things. First, amazing customer service.
Okay.
That means having knowledgeable staff who can answer questions, give advice, and make customers feel like they matter. That personal touch is something online retailers have a hard time replicating.
So it's not just about being polite.
Right.
It's about building real relationships with customers.
Exactly. The second thing is convenience.
Okay.
That could mean things like having flexible return policies, offering home delivery, or even just making the checkout process super fast and easy.
It's about making the whole shopping experience as smooth as possible.
Right. And then the last thing is building loyalty.
Okay.
Loyalty programs are great, but it's not just about points and discounts.
Right.
It's about making customers feel like they're part of something special, part of a community.
Like exclusive events or early access to new products.
Exactly. Or even just creating a space where people feel comfortable hanging out.
It's about making those emotional connections.
It is.
These are all great strategies. Now, I want to talk about a specific initiative aimed at helping small businesses compete in the digital world.
Okay.
We talked about it briefly before ONDC.
The Open Network for Digital Commerce.
Right. The report showed that a lot of retailers aren't even aware of it.
Yeah, it's a huge opportunity that people are missing out on.
So let's break it down. What exactly is ONDC, and why should retailers care?
ONDC is a platform created by the government to make e-commerce more open and accessible for everyone.
So it's not just another online marketplace.
No, it's more like the foundation that lets different marketplaces and platforms connect and work together.
Okay, that makes sense. Like a common language for businesses to use online.
Yeah, exactly. Right now, if you want to sell something online, you usually have to go through one of the big e-commerce platforms.
Right.
And those platforms have a lot of control.
Okay.
They decide what shows up in search results, how much you have to pay in fees, and they even control the customer data.
It sounds like the big businesses have the advantage.
They do. It's hard for small businesses to compete.
And that's what ONDC is trying to change.
Right. It levels the playing field by letting businesses list their products on lots of different platforms without having to set up separate accounts and systems for each one.
So a small business could have one online store that's visible everywhere.
Exactly. It gives customers more choices, creates more competition, and makes things better for everyone.
Okay, I'm starting to see why this is a big deal.
It is.
But if it's such a good idea, why isn't everyone using it?
Well, we talked about the awareness problem,
Right.
but it's also still pretty new.
Okay.
It takes time for a platform to catch on for businesses to learn how to use it effectively.
It's like businesses are waiting to see if customers will use it, but customers won't use it until businesses are on it.
Exactly. The government needs to step in and provide some support.
Like what kind of support?
Maybe some financial help for businesses that start using it early on. And we definitely need more educational resources to help businesses understand how the platform works, and marketing to let customers know about it.
It sounds like everyone needs to work together to make ONDC successful.
They do, but the potential is huge.
Yeah.
ONDC could totally change e-commerce in India. It could create a more fair and competitive marketplace for everyone.
Well, I'm going to be watching this closely. It sounds really promising.
Yeah.
But let's get back to that idea of outserving over outpricing online competitors.
Yeah,
It seems super important for traditional retailers to understand this.
it is.
People want more than just the cheapest price.
Mm-hmm.
They want value, convenience, and to feel connected to the brand.
Absolutely.
But let's get specific. What can traditional retailers actually do to outserve their competition in the digital age?
The report highlighted some key areas. We've already touched on them, but it's worth digging deeper.
Okay.
First, customer service. This is where traditional retailers can really stand out. They have the advantage of face-to-face interaction, so they can build personal relationships with customers that are hard to do online.
So it's more than just being nice.
Right.
It's about making customers feel valued and understood.
Exactly. It could be as simple as taking the time to really listen to a customer, offering personalized suggestions, or even just remembering their name and what they like the next time they come in.
Those little things can make a big difference.
They can.
It's about treating people like individuals, not just like transactions.
And that's something online retailers often struggle with.
Yeah?
They can personalize recommendations and target ads,
Uh-huh.
but building a real human connection is much harder.
So traditional retailers have a real opportunity there
They do.
to create those memorable experiences that make people loyal.
Exactly.
What about convenience? Online retailers have set a high bar in that area.
Yeah, they have. But traditional retailers can still compete. One key area is having flexible return policies.
Oh, yeah, that's important.
It's become standard for online shoppers, so
Mhm.
traditional retailers need to offer that too.
I agree. Sometimes you need to try something on at home or see how it looks with your other things.
Right.
If it's hard to return something, that's a problem.
Another area is home delivery.
Okay.
It can be tricky for smaller retailers, but there are ways to make it work.
Like what?
Maybe partnering with a local delivery service
Okay.
or offering in-store pickup for online orders.
It's about being creative and finding solutions.
Exactly. And sometimes it's the little things that make a difference when it comes to convenience.
Like what?
Clear signs in the store,
Oh?
having different ways to pay,
Mm-hmm.
even making sure the aisles are wide enough for strollers and wheelchairs.
It's about thinking about every detail
It is.
and making sure the whole experience is smooth and enjoyable for the customer.
Exactly. Traditional retailers can do all of that if they really focus on it.
Okay, and what about building loyalty? We talked about loyalty programs, but what else can traditional retailers do to keep customers coming back?
It's about making customers feel like they're part of something special, like they're part of a community. Think exclusive events, early access to new products, or just creating a space where people like to hang out.
So it's about going beyond the transaction and building those relationships that make people loyal.
Exactly. And those relationships are what turn customers into fans of your brand.
So we've talked about customer service, convenience, and building loyalty.
Yeah, those are the big ones.
But before we finish this part of our deep dive, I want to talk about something we've been touching on throughout.
Okay.
This idea that the future of retail isn't about one type of shopping winning over another.
Right.
It's about finding a way to connect everything so that everyone benefits.
Yeah, it's not online versus offline. It's about combining the best of both worlds to create a seamless and engaging experience for customers.
No matter how they choose to shop.
Exactly.
People want choices, they want convenience, and they want experiences that are personalized and engaging.
And retailers, online and offline, need to adapt and come up with new ideas to meet those needs.
That's what makes this such an interesting time for retail.
It is.
There's so much potential for creativity.
Yeah.
Okay, but before we get too excited, let's talk about a problem a lot of retailers are facing.
What's that?
Rising prices.
Inflation.
Yeah.
It's a global issue. Every industry is dealing with it.
And retail is no exception.
Retailers are feeling the pressure.
It's a tricky situation.
It is.
They need to stay competitive while also dealing with the rising costs of everything.
Yeah, the costs of goods, labor, transportation, it's all going up.
So how are they handling this?
They're having to get creative.
Yeah.
One thing they're doing is trying to negotiate better prices with their suppliers.
Okay.
But that's not always possible, especially when demand is high.
So they need other options.
They do. Some retailers are trying to streamline their operations.
Okay.
Looking for ways to reduce waste and be more efficient.
So basically doing more with less.
Yeah, but without sacrificing quality.
And it's not just about cutting costs.
Right.
It's also about finding ways to give customers more value without raising prices.
Exactly. One strategy is to focus on private label brands.
Okay.
Those are products made specifically for the retailer, and they're often cheaper than the big national brands.
I've noticed a lot of retailers are doing that.
It's a smart move.
Yeah.
They can control the quality and the price, so customers get a more affordable option. That's still good.
What else are they doing?
Bundled deals and promotions are really popular.
Oh yeah, everybody loves a good deal.
It's a good way to sell more, attract customers, and make people feel like they're getting a lot for their money.
It's a win-win for everyone.
Exactly. It's about finding creative solutions to those cost pressures
Right.
while still making sure the customer has a positive experience.
So it's a tough time for retailers, but it's also a time for innovation,
It is.
for finding new ways to connect with customers.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see how all of this plays out in the future.
Yeah, we'll definitely be keeping an eye on things. But that wraps up part 2 of our deep dive.
Already.
I know, right? We talked about how retailers can outserve their competition, the power of online trends and technology. We even took a closer look at ONDC and some of the challenges it faces.
It's been a good conversation.
We also discussed the impact of inflation
Yeah.
and how retailers are adapting to this new reality.
There's a lot to think about.
It is. And in the final part of our deep dive, we'll explore some practical takeaways for both consumers and brands.
Okay.
We'll talk about how you can use these insights to make better decisions
Sounds good.
and navigate this constantly changing retail world.
I'm ready for part 3.
Me too. Join us for the final part of our deep dive as we wrap up this exploration of the retail reinvention paradigm in India. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive into how retail in India is changing. We've talked about so much, from omnichannel to outserving the competition.
It's been fascinating to see how both those online and offline retailers are finding their place in this new world of retail.
It really has. And as we wrap up, let's talk about what we can actually do with all this information.
Yeah, like how can people listening use these insights to make smart decisions?
Exactly. Let's start with those traditional brick-and-mortar retailers. We talked about creating those generative customer experiences.
The ones that go beyond just selling something.
And I know we talked about those big interactive displays,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's the small things that really make a difference.
It really is.
Like I was at this bookstore recently, and they had a handwritten note on a book display recommending a new author.
Oh, nice.
And it was so personal, it really made me want to check out that book.
That's what it's all about. It's those little unexpected moments that make you remember a place.
So for retailers, it's about thinking outside the box, finding those little ways to make the experience better, like maybe offering free gift wrapping or hosting a book club or having staff who can give really good recommendations.
And don't forget about building a community.
Oh, yeah.
Think about creating spaces where people can connect, like a coffee bar in a bookstore.
Yeah.
Or a lounge area in a clothing store.
It's about making the store a place where people want to spend time.
Exactly.
And when it comes to technology, it's not about using the latest gadgets just because.
Right.
It's about using it in a way that makes the customer's life easier.
Like using apps to offer deals or personalized recommendations.
Yeah.
Or making the checkout process really smooth so there aren't any long lines.
It's about making the whole experience as enjoyable as possible.
Exactly.
And for all those shoppers out there,
Yeah.
think about what you really want from a shopping experience.
Do you want convenience?
Right.
Personalization.
A sense of community.
Once you know what you're looking for,
Uh-huh.
you can choose stores that offer those things.
Support the brands that match your values,
Yeah.
the ones that are doing things the right way.
Like focusing on sustainability or ethical sourcing.
We talk about voting with our wallets, and that's so true when it comes to retail.
When you support businesses that are doing good things,
It sends a message.
it does.
And don't be afraid to give feedback,
Oh, yeah. Good point.
both good and bad.
Let those retailers know what you like
Uh-huh.
and what you think they could do better.
That feedback is so valuable for businesses.
It helps them understand what works,
Right.
what they need to change.
This whole deep dive has been about showing how retail in India is evolving. And we've seen how those traditional retailers are adapting and finding ways to be successful.
It's really impressive.
It is. It shows how resilient they
How
are
creative they are.
and how much they care about giving their customers a good experience.
Absolutely.
And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this thought.
Okay.
The future of retail isn't about one side winning.
It's not online versus offline.
Right.
It's about finding that sweet spot where they work together.
Exactly. It's about creating a system where everyone benefits.
Customers, brands, and the communities they serve.
So keep exploring those new ideas and keep the conversation going.
Because retail is always changing,
It is.
and there's always something new to discover.
And we'll be here to help you navigate it all.
With more deep dives into the trends that are shaping our world.
That's right. Until next time, happy shopping, everyone.